The first scream still echoes in my head, a sound so sharp, so full of terror. It cut right through the sacred silence of that temple. One moment, we were just a bunch of hopeful hunters, marveling at the ancient statues. The next, we were prey. The moment those stone eyes came alive, the moment the doors slammed shut, sealing our fate, we stopped being hunters. We became offerings on an altar of someone else's design. It all started so innocently. A double dungeon, a rare find, the promise of treasure lured us in. We walked past rows and rows of statues, each holding a different instrument. A lyre, a flute, a shield. They seemed harmless, just stone and dust. Then, the first rule was broken. Someone tried to leave. That's when the doors slammed shut, and the true test began. The first commandment appeared on a tablet: worship the Lord. Some of us scoffed, some panicked, but Mr. Song, our veteran leader, he understood. He knew this was a puzzle, a deadly one. He bowed, and the statues paused their advance. One by one, we followed, our pride swallowed by a rising tide of fear. We survived the first trial, but the air was thick with the promise of more horror to come. Next, the second commandment: praise the Lord. Praise. How do you praise a god that's trying to kill you? We were stumped. Then, a statue holding a musical instrument began to move. It stepped forward, onto a raised platform, ready to strike. The message was clear. Someone had to step onto the other platforms, the ones with instruments, and praise this monstrous deity. A singer in our group, Juhi, she knew. She realized we had to play the instruments. But who would risk it? Who would volunteer to step onto those platforms, knowing one wrong move meant death? It was a test of courage, a desperate gamble. One by one, brave hunters stepped up, their hands shaking as they reached for the stone instruments. The melody that followed wasn't one of beauty, but of survival. A haunting, desperate tune played to appease a silent, watching God. Each note was a breath we held, a prayer that it would be enough. But it was only the beginning of the nightmare. The temple was far from finished with us. The final commandment appeared, the cruelest of them all: prove thy faith. That's when the altar rose in the center of the room. A circle of fire ignited around it. We had to bring sacrifices. But what sacrifices? There was no gold, no treasure to offer. Then the horrifying realization dawned on us. The sacrifices were us. The statues weren't the only threat anymore. The true monsters were the people standing right beside me. The desperation in the room curdled into something ugly. It was every man for himself. Alliances shattered, trust evaporated. People who had shared jokes just an hour before were now pushing each other toward the flames, trying to save their own skin. I saw it all: the betrayal, the selfishness, the raw, unfiltered darkness that hides within the human heart when pushed to the absolute brink. I was just an E-rank, the weakest of the weak. I was an easy target, a perfect sacrifice. I ran, I dodged, I hid, fueled by pure, primal fear. My leg was gone, severed in the chaos. I was bleeding out, watching the last survivors turn on each other like rabid animals. In the end, only a few of us were left, cornered, with nowhere to run. The final phase began. The giant god statue, the one we had been worshipping, it finally moved. Its eyes glowed with a terrifying red light, and it rose from its throne. Beams of energy shot from its eyes, incinerating anyone they touched. This was it. This was an execution. There was no puzzle, no trick, just overwhelming power. Song, the brave man who had guided us, sacrificed his own life, using his last moments to shield others. He was a true hunter, a true leader, until the very end. And then, there was me, lying on the altar, helpless, watching the beams sweep across the room, getting closer and closer. Death was inevitable. Everyone had accepted it. They ran, they screamed, but they all knew it was over. But in that moment, something inside me broke. Or maybe, something was born. I looked at the giant statue, at the face of my impending death, and I wasn't just scared anymore. I was angry. All this for what? Why did the weak have to die? Why was this our fate? I had a family to take care of. I couldn't die here. Not like this. Everyone else was running, trying to get away from the altar, from the center of the slaughter. But I stayed. When I stood before the god statue broken, bleeding, with only one leg, and chose to fight instead of run, that's when the system chose me. As the final beam came for me, as I closed my eyes accepting my fate, a screen appeared in front of my face. A choice, a quest, a chance. It called me a player. In my last conscious moment, with my life hanging by a thread, I accepted. I chose to become stronger. And that's when everything changed. That day in the Cartenon temple, I died. The old Sung Jinwoo, the world's weakest hunter, was left behind on that blood-soaked altar. But something else woke up in his place, something new, something with a purpose. It was the birth of a power the world had never seen, forged in the depths of despair and given a second chance by a mysterious, game-like system. My journey, my real journey, had just begun. Thank you so much for watching and reliving this terrifying, pivotal moment with me. If you're as hooked on this journey as I am, make sure to hit that like button and definitely subscribe for more. We've only just scratched the surface. Trust me, you won't want to miss what comes next. See you in the next video.